My name is Ian Rees and I'm going to do a short series on the Psalms. It won't be a great theological discussion of them, but just some honest personal reflections, because for me, that's what the Psalms are about. They're a really open and honest set of emotions, different emotions expressed by different people over hundreds of years. For me, my interest in the Psalms was born out of frustration, really. Frustration that we did so many of them in our church services. Frustration that we sang them to tunes that weren't that interesting sometimes, and sometimes sang them badly. They turn up in the communion service, they turn up in morning prayer, they turn up in evening prayer, and it seemed to me that it was just really overkill. This is just one book of the Bible after all. But as you read them and think through them, their power becomes much clearer. These are sometimes raw, sometimes angry, sometimes confused, sometimes joyful. The emotions could be our emotions. As we know, the Psalms contain some of the best known of biblical literature. Within the 150 Psalms, there are examples of praise, celebration, thanksgiving, hope, despair, doubts, anger, sadness, and almost any other emotion you can think of. They were not primarily written as a work of doctrine or history, but as a way of genuinely expressing how people felt. To give a little bit of background in terms of authors from what we know, David wrote 73 of the Psalms, Asaph 12, the sons of Korah 9, Solomon 2, and Herman, Ethan and Moses each wrote 1. 51 Psalms are anonymous. They were written over a long period, probably from about 1440 to 580 BC. They're split into 5 books, and it's helpful, although by no means strictly accurate, to think of each book as being broadly in line with the themes of the first 5 books of the Bible. In Book 1, Psalms 1 to 41, like Genesis, these tell how humanity was created, fell into sin, and was then promised redemption. Book 2, Psalms 42 to 72, like Exodus, which describes the nation of Israel. Many of these psalms describe the nation as ruined and then recovered. As God rescued the nation of Israel, so he rescues us. Book 3, Psalms 73 to 89, like Leviticus, which discusses the tabernacle and God's holiness. These psalms offer praise to God because he is holy, and we can turn to him for deliverance. Book 4, Psalms 90 to 106, like the book of Numbers, which discusses the relationship of the nation of Israel to the surrounding nations. These psalms often mention the relationship of God's kingdom to other nations. As citizens of the kingdom of God, we can keep the events and troubles of the earth in their proper perspective. And Book 5, Psalms 107 to 150, Deuteronomy was concerned with God and his word, and these psalms are anthems of praise and thanksgiving for God and his word. In short, the book of Psalms has so much to offer us, to teach us, to inspire and encourage us. I hope you'll enjoy this journey through them. I mentioned in the introduction that we're going to look through the various Psalms and look through at least one from each of the 5 books that I mentioned, which are contained throughout the book of Psalms. I'm going to start with one which everybody seems to know. It's the most famous psalm of all, Psalm 23. I haven't any great theological insights to offer into any of these psalms, but I have some honest reflections, and I hope they will trigger in you honest reflections and thoughts. That is the aim with all of these things. I'm going to begin by reading Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord my whole life long. Very famous words, and almost too familiar in some ways perhaps. Words that perhaps don't dig into us as much as they should, or perhaps seem comfort us or strengthen us just as much as they should. If people get asked for a psalm for whatever service, they'll often say Psalm 23, without much thought of what it might actually be about or what it might actually mean. I've lived in Wales my whole life, and in Wales there are an awful lot of sheep. Not so much in central Swansea where I am now, but there are a lot of sheep around in Wales. But I still don't think we always take into account the importance of the shepherd. How important a shepherd is in caring for the sheep. How important the shepherd is in guiding the sheep. And yet Jesus, as we know in the New Testament, in the Gospel according to John, chapter 10, verse 11, describes himself as the Good Shepherd. The Good Shepherd looking after his sheep, his people, each one of us. And the Good Shepherd will go to incredible lengths to care for his people. He'll go to incredible lengths to make sure that those sheep are fine, that there is nothing wrong with them. And when the Lord is my shepherd is read, that is what we're being told. The Lord is my shepherd. It's personal. It's about us. It's about being cared for by the creator of the whole world, by the person who can do all things for us and in us. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Sometimes we'll walk through the darkest valley, as that psalm describes. Sometimes life will be tough. Sometimes we'll feel as though we can't move out of that. Sometimes we'll feel as though we're stuck in the depths of despair in some way. But the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And he'll lead me into places of calm. He'll lead me beside still waters. He will always care. Night can be very long at times. Night can be very dark. But one certainty is that morning will come, that light will always shine through the darkness. Light always wins over darkness. Love always wins over anything. And God is love, the Bible tells us. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. And so we look to him for strength. We look to him for comfort, knowing how much he cares for us, knowing the depths and the extent of the things that he will do for us. The cross showed that. Knowing God's love for us, we move forward confidently. We move forward with hope, assured by words such as this psalm. And in times when we are walking through that darkest valley, in times when we are struggling, may we look for his peace. May we know his peace. May we keep praying for it, keep looking for examples of it in his word in the Bible, and know that darkness lasts for a time, but morning will always come.